Yes, hello friends. So this is the first part of the unit fifth. So we have discussed unit fourth completely about the rolling contact bearing, and in this unit, this is the last unit of your syllabus. That is the unit fifth, which is about the design of IC engine parts. Okay, so in this unit, we will be discussing about the different parts of the IC engines. So what are the main parts? As you already know that there are large number of parts in an IC engine, but major parts in the IC engine are to be discussed in this lecture. Okay, so one by one we will be studying the designing of the different parts or the different major parts of the IC engines, and these designings will include the designing of such as piston, cylinder, crankshaft, connecting rod. Okay, so these five parts are in your syllabus for designing, and we will be starting one by one for the uh, for this lecture. And first, we will be studying about the cylinder, that how we can design the cylinder of an IC engine. Okay, so this is the first lecture. First, we will discuss the theory of the cylinder. Then, what are the different types of cylinder? What are the different cylinder components? And then, what are the equations that are used to uh, design the cylinder? In that, what is the effect of gas pressure, and what is its impact on the cylinder material? So one by one we will be discussing all of these points in a terminology manner. Okay, so now we will begin. So here here we have the simple cylinder and cylinder liners. First of all, first topic is about cylinder and cylinder liner. So cylinder liners, what are the cylinder liners? Cylinder liners are the components that surrounds the cylinder. Okay, and they act as the water jackets. Okay, so when the gas is burnt inside the engine, these cylinder liners provide the water to flow in the jackets, and then this excess heat of the cylinder can be taken away with the help of the jacket water. Okay, so this is the basic functioning of the cylinder liner. Now, what are the two important functions of the cylinder liner? First is retain to retain working fluids such as mixture of air and petrol or the diesel. And next is to guide the piston. Okay, so cylinder liners are the uh, parts that are used to guide the piston also. Okay, now there are two different types of cooling system of the cylinder engines that you will be studying in automobile engineering in your next semester. And these two basic names of these two uh, cooling systems are: the first is the air cooled system, second is the water cooled system. And the engines that use this system are called as air cooled engines and the water cooled engines. Okay, so air cooled engines are generally the small engines because air is freely available, and that air can be easily utilized to cool the engine. Next is the water cooled engines. These are the larger heavy engines such as the truck engines, bus engines, and car engines. So these engines are the water cooled engines or the liquid cooled engines, where water is used as a coolant to take away the excess heat. Okay. Next is the understanding of cylinder liners. There are dry liners, wet liners. A dry liner, what is a dry liner? A dry liner is a cylinder liner which does not have any direct contact with the cooling water in the jacket. That means the dry liner does not have the direct contact with the cooling water in the jacket. And next is the wet liner. A wet liner is a cylinder liner which has its outer surface in direct contact with the cooling water. So here are the two figures of the dry liner and wet liner. Here you can see the dry liner in which it is no direct contact, and the wet liner has its outer surface with the in the direct contact with the cylinder. So these are the water jackets. Okay, so this is the basic understanding about the cylinder liners. So this why it is taught, because it is this will be used in designing of engines. Okay, now here desirable properties for cylinder and cylinder liners are as follows. So all the cylinder and cylinder liner must be of sufficient strength because they are bearing the gas pressure. That means all the can say the gas that is burning inside the engine is uh, getting burnt and producing high pressures as well as heat. So that heat and pressure must be taken care by the cylinder materials. Okay, so that it can withstand that type of pressure and heat. So strength it should be enough to withstand high gas pressure during combustion, strong enough to withstand thermal stress that already I told, because of temperature thermal stresses will be there due to heat transfer change taking place. Should be hard enough to excess wear due to piston and cylinder motion contact. Next is the corrosion resistant. So these are the basic requirements of the cylinder and cylinder liner, because and there are other requirements also, that it must be of material that is having a good lubricating properties, so that the piston and cylinder motion is very smooth. Okay, so these are simple general requirements of the cylinder and cylinder liners. Now materials. What are the materials that are generally cylinders and cylinder liners are made up of? Okay, so as you already know, I told you about that there must be some material that is having good lubricating properties. So here gray cast iron is the best material, which is because cast iron, is the material that have the best lubricating properties. Okay, so that's why pistons are made of cylinders are made of gray cast iron with homogeneous and close grained structure that is centrifugally cast. For heavy duty cylinder materials, cast iron and gray cast iron, nickel gray cast iron is used. Okay, and other materials are cast steel, aluminum alloys. Okay, aluminum alloys. So these are the simple materials or general materials of the uh, cylinder and cylinder liners. Now next here, bore and length of the cylinder, very important you can say dimensions, which all the cylinders are uh, you can say named according to their bore and length. So if we can say the square engine, so a square engine will be having a bore and length of equal size. That means diameter is equals to length of the cylinder. Okay. To understand that, we will be giving some notations here. IP will be indicating the indicated power, BP brake power, eta mechanical efficiency, and number of working strokes per minute, capital N engine speed, PM indicated mean effective pressure, L length of stroke, capital L length of cylinder, D diameter of cylinder, capital D diameter of the cylinder, and A area is the pi by 4 into D square, that is the cross sectional area of the cylinder. Okay, and Pmax is the maximum gas pressure inside the cylinder. Okay, so this is the gen notations of the cylinder that will be of the notation of the cylinder to design the cylinder that we will be using. Okay, now first is the cylinder length. Okay, first is the cylinder length L. Now here first we can calculate the efficiency. You already know that is the output upon input, but in terms of IC engines, efficiency is the brake power upon indicated power. Okay, because always you know that brake power is always less than the indicated power, and brake power is the output that we get. In the mode test also, brake power is the output power. Okay, now indicated power, you already know PM LA and K divided by 60. So this is the basic formula for the indicated power. Here L by D is equals to 1.25 to 2. That is assumed generally. Generally the ratio of the stroke and the diameter of the cylinder is 1.5 to 2. Okay, so if not specified, then you can always take L is equals to 1.2 times of D, or you should remember the range that L by D is equal to 1.25 to 2. Now length of the cylinder is taken as 1.15 times of length of stroke. These are the general assumptions or the empirical assumptions that you have to take for designing the engine. Okay, now this is the why this is because the length of cylinder is will be more than the length of the stroke, because the cylinder is worked with the piston, and piston head or the top dead center of the piston must not touch, or you can say wear out with the head of the cylinder. So to avoid that, 15% of the stroke length clearance is 15% of the stroke length clearance is provided addition to the stroke length of the cylinder. Okay, so that is the total length of the cylinder. So that's why L is equals to capital L is equals to 1.15 times of small l. Now next, thickness of cylinder, very important. First, so from here we are designing the cylinder. These are the simple or the basic steps of designing the cylinder. Okay, thickness of cylinder is T. It is here denoted by T, small t. Now thickness of cylinder can be given as by the basic equation of the thin pressure vessels, in which T can be given as PD upon 2 sigma C plus C. Okay, now what are the terms here denote? Sigma C is the permissible circumferential stress for cylinder material. Now according to cylindrical vessels, thin vessels, what were the equations? We were having two stresses, circumferential stress and the longitudinal stress. Okay, so longitudinal stress was given as sigma is equal to PD upon 4t, and here circumferential stress is PD upon 2t. So as you already know that circumferential stress value is always greater than the longitudinal stress value, so that's why we are using the circumferential stress value to design the cylinder thickness. Okay, so here because we always design for the failure condition, that or you can say for the safe condition or the limiting condition. So in this limiting condition will be that the maximum pressure is acting in the cylinder, and maximum stress is acting in the cylinder. Okay, so that's why we are considering the circumferential stress and the maximum pressure, and D is the diameter of the cylinder plus C. Now C is the called as the reboring allowance. Reboring allowance, what is the reboring allowance? For boring the piston into cylinder, there must be some gap. That means there must be some clearance or the amount of very minute type of clearance, so that the piston can be fitted into the cylinder. Okay, so plus C is that value that must be provided in the cylinder. So that's why the if you closely examine that the cylinder, uh, or you can say the dimensions of the or diameter of the cylinder will always be greater than the diameter of the piston. Okay, now next here this is note very important that sigma c is equals to sigma, and that is circumferential permissible circumferential stress is equals to SUT divided by factor of safety, and sigma y is the allowable tensile, sigma t is the allowable tensile stress, because you already know that the circumferential stress is taken as the tensile stress, and it is equals to SUT divided by factor of safety, and SUT is the ultimate tensile strength of the material. Sigma c is equals to 35 to 100 Newton per millimeter square. That is the general value of the circumferential permissible circumferential stress. Okay, so this is the basic condition. Now this is third point, that stresses in the cylinder wall. Okay, so in the cylinder wall there are two types of stresses that are present. Now here we have the apparent stress. Okay, so in this figure you can see two types of stress because of the maximum pressure, that is the circumferential stress and the longitudinal stress. Okay, circumferential stress, this first figure is showing the circumferential stress, and this second figure is showing the longitudinal stress. Now if we closely see, okay, apparent stress sigma c is equals to p max d upon 2t, that you already know. Now considering equation in terms of longitudinal direction, in the longitudinal direction we should multiply the maximum pressure into area, that is the total applied pressure. That is total force. P max is the applied pressure into area, that will be equal to sigma L, longitudinal stress, into the area of the piston on which this pressure is acting. So here sigma L into pi by 4 into d naught square minus d square. That means actually d naught minus d is the thickness of the cylinder wall. Okay, that's why this stress is acting on the circumferential area. So from here apparent sigma L will be equal to P max. When you solve it, apparent sigma L will be equal to P max into d square divided by d naught square minus d square. That is the principal stress or the maximum principal stress. Okay, so here we have sigma C, apparent sigma C and apparent sigma L. Why apparent sigma C is P max into d upon 2t? Because the circumferential stress, apparent sigma c means apparent circumferential stress. Okay, so that's why this is the value of the, because how this we have calculated that sigma c into 2t into L, P max into d into L, L is the length, L will be L cancelled with L, so sigma c will be equal to P max into d divided by 2t. So as we have completed, as we have obtained the equation here, this equation, so here also same equation can be written, that sigma c into 2t into length of the cylinder, and that will be equal to, that is the applied load, and that will be equal to P max into d into L. So L will be cancelled on both sides, and sigma c will be equal to P max into d upon sigma t 2t, sorry. Okay, so this is the apparent stress, and now net stress sigma c and sigma t are the principal stresses at right angles. Okay, because circumferential and longitudinal stresses are at right angles, so net stress sigma c net in the circumferential direction, that means sigma c net is the net stress in the circumferential direction, will be equal to sigma c minus mu times of sigma L, because you already know mu is the Poisson ratio. Poisson ratio is equal to negative times of lateral upon longitudinal stress, so that's why sigma c net is equal to sigma c minus mu times of sigma L. Similarly, sigma L net will be equal to sigma L minus mu times of sigma c. Sigma c net is the wall circumferential stress Newton per millimeter square, and sigma L net is the net longitudinal stress that already I told you, and mu is the Poisson ratio whose value is 0.25 generally. So this you have to remember, 0.25. Okay, so now next is the cylinder head. It is designed, now cylinder head again, it is designed by assuming it has a flat circular plate, cylinder head, flat circular plate, and its thickness is calculated by the following empirical formula. So what is the formula? So it is just like a flat plate over the open cylinder, so that's why it is taken as the flat plate. Okay, and its value can be easily calculated with the help of the formula th equals to d times of under root k p max divided by sigma c. Sigma will c will always, we will always take the permissible circumferential stress, because this is the maximum value. Okay, so now k is the constant, that value is to be 0.162, and this you have to remember. So in this unit there are a lot of assumptions that you must remember for solving the problems. Okay, now next is the fifth, design of studs. Next is the, so one by one we are designing the different parts of the cylinder. Okay, one by one all the parts are designed. So we have designed the thickness of the cylinder, we have designed the uh, net stresses in the cylinder, we have calculated the net stresses, we have designed the head of the cylinder. Now we are designing the studs for cylinder. So studs are the long bolts that are used to you can say hold or tight the head with the cylinder. Okay, now here stud is a cylindrical threaded portion that already I told you, long nut without head, and is used to assemble cylinder head and gasket, that already I told you. Under tightened condition, under tightened condition they are subjected to tensile stresses due to the mm, gas pressure, due to the gas pressure acting on the cylinder head. Okay, so that already, because it is the uh, bolt without head that is used to tight the cylinder gasket and head. Okay, so because of that tightening, this stud will be having a tensile force or the tensile load acting on it. So according to this type of, because we now know the type of load on the stud, we can easily calculate the formula for the dimension of the stud. Okay, now here to calculate the dimension of the stud, first of all different parameters that are used to be considered. So there are two parameters calculated in stud. First is number of studs, Z. So minimum number of studs is equal to 0.01 d plus 4, and maximum number of studs can be 0.03 d plus 4. Okay, so these are the different values of the number of studs that are to be prescribed for the cylinder. Now diameter of the stud, how do we have to calculate the diameter of the stud, that is the dimension of the stud. So first is the core diameter DC. As you already know, it is a nut, so screwed member, threads on it, so that's why it will be having a core diameter and the major diameter. So this is obtained by the equilibrium condition. How this equilibrium condition, likewise like in the previous net stresses we have calculated the equilibrium condition, here also gas force on the cylinder head, okay, that will be equal to the resisting force offered by all the studs. Okay, so this is the equilibrium condition for the studs. So gas force will be equal to, that you already know, pi by 4 into d square into p max, because always we, so p max. Okay, so this is here we have to now calculate the pitch of these studs, that is given by the formula d naught equal to d plus 3d. This is the basic formula that we have to calculate for calculating the pitch of the studs. Okay, dp is equals to d plus 3d. Now pitch of the stud can be calculated as the pi dp divided by the number of studs z. Okay, and this pitch of the stud must lie in the range, that is the range, standard range that is given by for the leaf proof joint. Leaf proof joint, this value must lie in between uh, this 18 root d and 28.5 root d. So this value must lie in between these two values, then only our design is safe. Okay, now here we have some problems, very easy problems. First problem is very easy. So in this problem we have all the data that is provided by the questionnaire. A cylinder is of a four stroke diesel engine. So it's a four stroke diesel engine, uh, has the following specifications. So what are the specifications? So in this specifications are: brake power is given, indicated power, indicated mean effective pressure is given, speed is given, mechanical efficiency is given, and it is asked to determine the bore and length of the cylinder liner. Okay, so bore and length are asked. So simply what we have to follow, according to the data, we have to proceed our problem. So first of all, write down all the data that is given in the problem. That is brake power in terms of watt, capital N, that is the RPM, PM mean effective pressure, and eta mechanical efficiency. So assuming L by D equal to 1.5. This is the first condition that you have to assume for designing of these uh, you can say cylinder and cylinder heads, that L by D is equals to 1 by 1.5. What is L? Small l is the stroke length and capital D is the bore. So stroke is to bore is equals to 1.5. Okay, and for four stroke diesel engine, for four stroke engine, we already know that small n is equals to n by 2. So uh, this is the general relation that you already know. Now calculate the indicated power. How? Because you already know that mechanical efficiency is equals to brake power upon indicated power. Okay, and mechanical efficiency is given and brake power is also given, so you can easily calculate the indicated power. Now indicated power formula you already know. Indicated power is equals to PM LAN K divided by 60, or PM LAN divided by 60, and PM is the mean effective pressure, small l is the stroke length, and uh, is the area, or the area of the cylinder, and small n is the number of revolution for the four stroke engine or two stroke engine. So here it is four stroke, so that's why small n is equals to capital N divided by 2. Put all the values PM L A N. Now L can be given in terms of 1.5d, and area is the area of cross sectional area of the cylinder, that is equals to pi by 4 into capital D square into small n divided by 60, and that is equals to the value. Now you have one equation and one variable capital D. Put all the values and calculate the value of capital D. Simply here we have calculated the value of capital D, that is stroke, and now that you already know that small l by d is equal to 1.5, so small l is also calculated. If small l is calculated, then we can calculate the length of the cylinder, that is equals to 1.15 times of small l, because 15% clearance is given. So here we have to write that assuming 50%, 15% clearance on both sides of the cylinder. Okay, so from here easily calculate the value of length of the cylinder. Now this is the second problem. This here we have data. Again, like this data will be given for you. The cylinder of a 4-stroke diesel engine has the following specifications like this. What is this? Brake power is given, speed is given, indicated mean effective pressure is given. Okay, and other data is given. Mechanical efficiency, minimum gas, maximum gas pressure is given. Cylinder ma- liner and head are made of gray cast iron. That means material is given in this problem. Material is given. Material is given. Okay, so material is given, and as well as their SYT values given. So this SYT values or SUT values will be used for calculating the you can say the permissible stress values that must not, that the induced stress must not exceed. Okay, so material is given for the cylinder liner and head, and next mu is also given. Mu means Poisson's ratio. Poisson's ratio for calculating the net stress, and the studs are made of this carbon steel with SYT given, and the next is given the studs factor of safety. Yes, very important for calculating the permissible values. We know that factor of safety is very important, so that's why here we have factor of safety is 6. Now calculate the bore and length of the cylinder. Yes, bore and length that we can calculate very easily. Next is the thickness of the cylinder liner, apparent and net stresses. So all the data that is asked in the question is has been calculated by us in the previous theory. Okay, thickness of the cylinder head. Next, pitch of the studs and number of studs. Okay, so these are all the data values that we have to calculate, and we know the formula. So just open your data book and start doing the problem. First of all, write all the given data that is given brake power, and all the data is written in terms of symbols. Okay, next, always first assumption for these problems is that you have to take L by D ratio. L by D ratio means stroke to bore ratio. L by D ratio is you have to assume. If it is not given, that you have to assume that here you, what will be the assumption? That will be 1.5 always. So always assume L by D is equals to 1.5, and then proceed as already told you. uh, First calculate the indicated power. How will you calculate the indicated power? That from the formula mechanical efficiency eta is equals to bp upon ip. So brake power upon indicated power, so indicated power will be equals to brake power upon mechanical efficiency. So from here we can calculate the indicated power in terms of a value. Now you know that what is the formula of indicated power? That is pmlan divided by 60. Now this is a 4-stroke engine. Again take like this, that put the values pm, mean effective pressure is given, put the value of mean effective pressure. Hmm. And put the value of small as l is 1.5 times of bore, that you already know. Next, put the value of small n is the number of revolution divided by 2 for the 4-stroke engine. So put all the values and calculate the value of capital D is the bore. Okay, now if you know capital D, then you can easily calculate the value of small l. Small l is stroke length, that is 1.5 times of D, and then you can easily calculate the value of length of the cylinder, that is equals to 1.15 times of stroke length, small l. Okay, so this is the basic understanding about the calculation of the stroke and bore. Okay, now next is the important part, that you have to calculate thickness. Next we have to calculate the thickness. So the formula that we have written for, that we have given for you, that is easily also given in the data book also of VB Bandari. So Here material is given. For a very important point is that material is given, that means sigma t is given. Sigma t is the permissive stress. How sigma t is? Because uh, permissive material is given, so it's SYT or SUT is given. So in this problem SUT is given, so and factor of safety is also given. So from here we can easily calculate the permissible stress, that is equals to failure stress upon factor of safety. So as permissible stress is sigma t is equals to SUT divided by factor of safety. So that's why sigma t will be equal to 43.33. So this is the permissible stress, and that will be equal to sigma c, because we always calculate the thickness in terms of sigma c, that is the circumferential permissible stress. Okay, so we have a sigma c value. Now the sigma c permissible value can be used to calculate the value of thickness by the formula. What is the formula? That formula is P max d upon 2 times of sigma t c. So put the values, put all the values. We have calculated capital D. P max is given in the question. Put P max, put capital D, put sigma c, that is we have calculated right now, and calculate the value of the thickness. Okay. So this is the different, but here we have to calculate the value of capital C also. This capital C is the reboring allowance. Okay, so reboring allowance capital C is calculated from the data book. So for that you go into the machine design data book by VP Bandari, and go to the IC engines design chapter and do to the cylinder designing part, where you will be uh, checking the values in the table for capital C, and take that value and add in the thickness of the cylinder and calculate the final thickness of the cylinder. Okay, now calculate this small t you have calculated. Here simply we have applied the interpolation that you already know, that interpolation. Now calculate the value of the apparent stress. Apparent stress is calculated how much, how that is calculated with the help of the formula, that sigma c is equals to p max d upon 2d. Now here we have to put the calculated values of capital D and small t. Put the values in this and calculate this value of sigma c, and check whether this value is less than or greater than which value, permissible stress value for the cylinder. Okay, that is 43.3. If it is less than the permissible value, that means induced stress is less than the permissible stress, that means our design is safe. So here safe design. Next, calculate the longitudinal stress by the same formula that we, these all formulas are given in the data book, so you can easily follow that formula. Okay, calculate d naught, and then put the values of d naught and d in this formula. P max d square upon d naught square minus d square, and calculate the value of sigma L. So sigma L value calculated. After that, check whether it is less than or greater than the permissible stress value, that is 43. It is less, so it is safe. Now net stress value, that is asked in the question. So net stress value, just you have to follow the net stress formula. So you have calculated sigma c sigma L previously, and now follow the net stress formula from the data book and calculate the value. Here sigma c net equals to sigma c minus mu times of sigma L. So mu times of mu is the coefficient of, no sorry, that is the Poisson's ratio. Okay, so put Poisson's ratio value that is given in the problem and calculate the value of sigma c net. Likewise you can calculate the net